Okay, my name is Kane, and I'm the Vice President of Clear Lake Area Republicans. I'm going to go over a couple things that are going to happen through the night. So everybody should have got a ballot. Please hold your ballots in hand, try to keep it open eyes. At the end, everybody all ballots where you should open your eyes, so that there's space for you right at the seat. You're going to fill a box on your ballot, so that it will know when you color your MSC, cheerleaders, your women, the result of the stronghold. Also, I'm going to go over a little bit of the debate format. So we are going to start with the moderator, who will ask a question for 30 seconds. Our moderator is Sam Malone. After he asks a question from Candidate A will have 2 minutes to respond. Then Candidate B will be able to follow up with a question for Candidate A for 30 seconds. Then Candidate A will have 1 minute to respond. It'll continue that way, so then Candidate C will be able to ask a 30-second question from Candidate A, and then they'll respond for 1 minute, and then Candidate D the same. We have a timer, so anytime that these gentlemen go over, I will give a time, and that will end it right then and there. We're going to have a lightning round time, so if you have questions that you want to ask the candidates directly, please see Jeff Larson in the back and have it in writing. It will be vetted and make sure he's standing out back there. The questions will be vetted, and then the moderator will ask those questions at the end until we fill out that full hour and a half. I do want to mention that you guys will have a time to vote for your chairman at the state convention that's coming up, and I think the dates are May 12th. We'll start on 2015, we'll start that. All right, here's Sonia Roberts.
I will.
I'm just going to put the bag here. Come on.
Slower, you'll be able to understand. Good evening, everyone. And for those of you that traveled here tonight, thank you. And welcome to Team SD11 territory. Woo, let's hear for Team SD11. I would like to offer a express a huge gratitude to the Clear Lake Area Republicans for hosting this event, this very important event. The election of the RPT chair is usually held at our state convention with the delegates, which I see a lot of you guys out here, the delegates casting that vote. Since our current chairman, Steve Munisteri, is stepping down, the State Republican Executive Committee, better known as the SREC, their members will be casting this vote on March the 7th. And that's not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. There are 62 SREC members in Texas, and we are fortunate enough to have quite a few of them here tonight. Would you guys please stand for me? Okay, right here in the front. Okay, and I was supposed to have a list with all of your names and your SDs, and I apologize that I don't have that. But these fine ladies and gentlemen will be the ones casting the vote along with yours truly. And let me tell you, it's been a rough few months because we have some really good candidates, and it's tough. So I know SD11 members who are on our email distribution list will be receiving a poll/survey within the next day or two. We're going to wait until we have a link to the video of this debate so we can include that in with the email. And JT and I would really like to hear your feedback about these candidates. because it really matters what you guys think, because you're the ones that would be voting on them if we were at the state convention. So we want to hear from you. Oh, and on this table directly in front of me is the sign-up sheet. If you're not on our email distribution list, please sign up. We'll get you on there ASAP. Okay, now for the candidates. I guess as I call your name, will you come up to your designated areas? Wade Emmert is the current chairman of the Dallas County GOP, and you will find in your program that was handed out a very detailed, you can't hear me? Okay, there you go. You'll find in your program a very detailed bio on every candidate, so I'm not going to bore you with that tonight. I'm just going to do a one-liner, okay? Tom Meckler is the current RPT, Republican Party of Texas Treasurer. And then we have Jared Woodville. Jared is the immediate past chairman of the Harris County GOP. And then we have Robin Armstrong. Robin is our current RNC committee man. Now for tonight's debate master. He really doesn't need introduction, but I'll give him a short one, because everybody knows and loves him. He is an award-winning radio talk show host who continues to blaze the way with new innovations in AM radio. Please welcome from 512 New Media and AM 1070 The Answer, Sam Malone.
Very nice.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And I'm dropping everything.
Good evening, everyone. How are you tonight? I love the acoustics in here. On first base for the Houston Astros, number 5, Jeff Blackwell.
That'll get people.
And it's the same number of people here that would be at the Astros game. So, okay, here we go. Are you ready? Gentlemen, start your engines. Question number 1. The drawing at a time, Robin will lead the way, and then we'll go to questions. They'll each question each other, get time, very strict time limits, okay? Here we go. Robin, your question. Ballot integrity. As you know, Democrats have resorted to many dirty tricks to increase their vote share, even in the last election. Can you describe some of the unseemly or illegal tactics you've seen with Democrats and how they employ to get out the vote in the 2014 elections? Do you have experience currently with combating these issues on the local level? And what do you plan to do as chairman to combat these tactics in the future and ensure that the elections are being enforced in the state and local level? Robin, yeah, Robin.
Is this on?
Yes.
Thank you very much for that question. You know, a lot of experience with data to get more and actually working with the institutions. So I do have no experience with valid issues. I also work with the ARs that are very broken, but they put together and they work for a long time. Also, we're looking at actively. We also have a group of actors that aren't not involved in regular local events, but they do have funds, so they have for communities. So we can actually use funds from the RC to pay for meetings that we have with the local events. I know that we're very and I'll tell you that is that there's obviously a lot of the office chamber that I'm from. You see where we got valid measures for a long time, then we got control, and now control. So this is it that we've seen, since the first came to Dallas County. Considered contacting work with considered contacting work with RC, work with the so I think that did that. It was very important that the Democrats not allow the skilled elections, which is what they've done along Washington County, not having any more of those. So it's a very important issue that we have to be very focused on as chairman of this party. So thank you.
Now, if you have questions, we'll start with Tom Eckler. Tom, your question. Yes.
I don't have any questions, but I think you answered one of them, so
Sandy Kennedy says he did a great job. We wanted $1 million. $1 million. What do you think?
Well, it's hard to ask Rob about a question about Terry. Dallas County has been on the front line of Dallas Terry, battleground Texas for the last 2 years. Robert, what would you do differently in Dallas County than what we've done in terms of holding folks, speak to the fire, the poll watchers, battling our election and Democrat election judges, and election department in the Secretary of State? What else did you do with what we did?
I think one thing that's very important to do also is make sure that we have election judges and election alternates at the local level. I mean, this is how we really combat ballot integrity issues. We have to make sure that in those Democrat precincts, we have election alternate judges who are there, who are watching them, who are there making sure that the election is being held in an integrous manner. I'll tell you what happens to a lot of Democrat precincts is that those folks are just ignorant about election law. They don't know what's going on. Sometimes they're actively trying to cheat, but sometimes they just don't know what's happening. They just don't know the rules. And so oftentimes when we're there, I actually function as alternate judges in some precincts, Democrat precincts. And I'll tell you, those guys they'll listen to us when we're there and the educated one is running the election. So having alternate judges is very important in combating ballot integrity on the board level.
Follow-up question, share it with me.
what do you think is the best way to track people?
You know, the question is, what is the best way to attract poll watchers and get folks to volunteer? I think having an active and dynamic party is the best way to do that. You know, we have to be a party that is going to excite the activists, excite the grassroots. We've got to be a party that's strong in fundraising there. We've got to be a party that's actually not growing and inviting people in. You know, I think we all have a precinct here in every precinct in the state of Texas. You know, we've got to have a county chair in every county in the state of Texas. You know, all those grassroots activism that we want to do well in Galveston County because we want in Galveston County. So I think it's important that we recruit those folks, that we have an active party, an engaged party, where we can recruit folks to go out and be election judges and all of it. So we just have to have an active party that promotes a vision that will go out and recruit more people in.
Very good, thank you very much. We'll begin with a new question. We'll start with Tom in the B position. Tom, here's your question. Other candidates will get a chance to ask questions and respond as well. Well, we have 51, I need a light, okay? Next thing you know, we're retiring the camper. Here we go. Campaigns, now. Understanding the nuts and bolts of a campaign, as well as the legislative process, is very important for the RPT chair. Can you describe your vast experience in Republican campaigns, especially at the grassroots or volunteer level? How will you lead the RPT in recruiting and preparing conservative candidates?
Well, I think that that's a great question. I've been a county chairman 3 times in 3 different locations. In each of those cases, 50% of the elected officials were Democrats and the others were Republicans. So the best way to accomplish that goal is basically to begin to help. I'll tell you what we did as a county chairman, and that's a lot of the same philosophy I'll use as a state chairman, which is to help our local counties begin to build a strong organization. We have an abundance of candidates in the strong Republican areas where we need a lot of help in the weak Republican areas. I think y'all agree that's where our biggest struggles are. And so the party can, it's a delegate, or by law say we can't get involved in contested primary races. So that's a difficult situation that we don't want to inject the RPT, which becomes very divisive. But at the same time, in areas that are weak Republican areas, mainly on the Valley, perhaps even out in El Paso, the party can get involved and help recruit candidates and try and get them look for the best candidates we can get out there and further the fall.
Excellent. To respond to the question, Robin. Okay, sorry. You might have to take it away first.
You were county chairman 12 years ago, or a decade or so ago in Tampa. Texas is a lot bigger than Tampa County, and technology has changed. I would like to hear your assessment of what the RP did this last election cycle and things that you think that they could do to improve the grassroots campaigns that they rolled out statewide.
Well, there was a great effort that was made between the RPT and Governor Abbott's campaign. That was it. We were talking about the technology side of that. We were behind the times, more or less, with the Democrats. We saw that in the 2010 election, in the 2012 election. We made up a lot of that kind of 2014 through the technology. So much of these campaigns, it still gets back down to maybe the football. For example, when we block it back, it's basically getting people out there, organizing volunteers, knocking on doors, and young campaign leaders. So the basics of that is the same, but in terms of targeting, which is where we've made the most progress, targeting is something that is being done with the technology that we have today, and the databases that give us the ability to fine-tune the analysis of the potential voters that are our voters.
Jerry, did you might work?
Tom, a little bit about the legislative session. You had a Republican who was pushing a piece of legislation during the session that contrary to the platform. How would you handle that issue with that person?
I think the best, my experience with elected officials has been based on relationships. Over the 30 years that I've been involved politically, standing on them more or less with theoretical baseball bats and doing what we tell you to do when you're going out office. It's not borne much fruit. Some people might say, well, that's fine. The difference between you get more quiet with money than you do with it. Building a relationship first, sitting down with them and explaining that. If the bill is going to be in conflict with the platform, then it's the first you work with the person that drafted the bill, and then you come back and work with maybe the leadership to try and put a stop to it. Give you a quick example of an issue that came up in the Panhandle. Senator Seller had drafted a bill that was basically, this is 2 sessions ago, that was basically going to remove the textbook authority away from the SBOE. And I talked to him, I said, Senator, you got to pull this down. This is not going to work. He said, no, we all agree with that. To explain to him that I'm concerned that the SBOE became number about what happened anyway. So that's one example.
Yeah, that's a question. What is your specific campaign experience and how would that compare to yours?
My campaign experience has been pretty much the full gamut with respect to recruiting candidates, raising money for candidates, and getting them elected, organizing grassroots. Case in point, we had a situation years ago where we had a district judge, a Democrat district judge, that was, you know, incumbents can be very challenging to defeat. Driving back to the Castle, profile, attorney's office, recruited him to run, raising money, and then the party organization basically took the fight to the Democrats, which is what we do as a state chairman. And I'm a big believer that the party should always be playing defense, and we ought to be the offense, and that's how we do it.
Very good. Let's get to Lee, his first question tonight. On platform, one complaint that Republican voters have about our party is that elected officials frequently deviate from their ideals expressed within our platform. How can we ensure Republican candidates adhere to the party platform? And do you disagree with any of the planks of the platform adopted in 2014?
You know, the party platform is an interesting document. I can promise you that out of the 300 plus planks, while each plank might have a majority, you'd be hard pressed to find a single person at the convention that agrees with every single piece of the platform. I think the value of the platform is not just the platform itself, but the process we go through as we prepare the platform. I believe the platform should be an inspiring document. I think the platform should set forth our principles and our goals, and as people look at the platform, they are inspired to be a part of the Republican Party, not just because of our values and what we believe, but because they see real principles articulated in the platform. I think the elected officials, the question was, how do we hold the elected officials to the fire on that? The reality is the elected officials are held to the fire on the platform every time they come up for election. The entire district, their district, they have an obligation to represent their district in the way their district wants them to. I don't think it is the party's position to tell, one elected official, you are not representing your constituents correctly. I do think that we as a party have an obligation to continue to support the principles outlined in the platform. I think that SREC has articulated a certain set of priorities that the chairman must be an advocate for. I think I'm uniquely qualified to do that. I've been chairman in Dallas County, one of the 5 largest media markets in the nation. I've been an advocate for Republican principles across the board. I can be an advocate for the principles as set forth by the SREC. I think we have an obligation here and an opportunity, frankly. We have an opportunity to bring more people into the party. I know this. The people that read the platform are the liberal media and the Democrats. And too often they want to use the platform against us. I think we as Republicans should stand strong on our principles. I think we ought to have a platform that's inspiring, that sets the way, that sets the future vision for the party in Texas.
A few years back, we had a state representative here in Harris County that decided that they were going to write an op-ed criticizing the party's position online. I responded, wrote an op-ed supporting the party's position online. If you were to be in that similar situation, one of our elected officials went to a major newspaper and called for the party to change its position, would you stand up and defend the platform?
Yes, I would. I think there's a very big difference between a statement of principles, and certainly like pro-life principles, because that is our party is based on being pro-life philosophies. And so as chairman of the party, I can in good conscience defend our pro-life platform. That's a different proposition than coming out against an elected official who won't pass a specific bill that I personally want passed. So when it comes to supporting the party principles, absolutely, that is our obligation as a state party to support those principles. When it comes to specific legislation on something that may be differences of opinion among different Republicans, I don't think it's a party's responsibility, or frankly, I think it's instructive for the party to get in between 2 different Republican candidates. But I will support our platform and our principles.
What position would you take if some group, some organization had a plank that they were seriously promoting and they wanted to be involved in our convention, like a booth? They wanted to have a booth at our convention, they wanted to talk about their ideas and their values. And they're in disagreement with our platform.
No, so how do we Republicans deal with people that want to change the platform? Frankly, the convention is the entire group of people who want to change the platform for unity. I think we Republicans can't be afraid, shouldn't be afraid of talking about ideas.
It's very tough. This sounds balancing.
I felt like I was strong enough to debate those issues. I mean, I'm very much pro-life, I'm very much traditional marriage. I don't support the moral and the gay agenda, but I'm not afraid to debate the issue. And so I felt like we as a party should be strong enough to stand up and say, this is a small issue. Let's continue the job. I'm not afraid to talk about the issues. I don't think it's more than
Tom, follow up.
My question, Wade, at the December SREC meeting, the resolutions committee put together a list of legislative priorities which were based on the platform that was ultimately passed by the SREC. Could you speak to those issues? Which issues were laid out in front of the Which ones are the priorities?
There are 8 positions that the answers are voted on. I'm not going to talk about each one of them. I would say this. I think that the goal of the SRT priorities is to focus the message. Focus the message in the platform. I think we as party and we as chairman, if I'm honored to be the chair, it's my obligation to talk about each of those. I will say this. I think as chairman of the party, the chairman has a board of obligation. And the obligation is for us to be representatives of people across the state of Texas. Regardless of differences of performance as chairman of Dallas County, I've had to deal with those differences of opinion and bring people together for a common cause. The platform represents what could be a very unifying document. In some cases, it can be very controversial in terms of people's different opinions. As secretary, I think I demonstrated my ability in Dallas County to bring people together and where we can all have a civic and talk through issues. The questions about the platform and the mood, questions about specific priorities, is really an issue to bring the idea that we as a party and chairman consistently have an obligation to be advocating, not just for not just for its specific agenda, but for all the agenda, the entire agenda, and the SRT priorities and the platform.
Very good, thank you. Bob, I should let you know that even though my voice travels and bounces around, some of the candidates have trouble hearing some of your questions and answers, and your counter questions and your points. So, yeah, you got to talk into it. Did you ever see a radio guy hold the microphone far away? No. So yeah, feel free, Rob. You got a good. Okay, good. Here you go, our next question. Our first question actually for Jared of the night. Jared involves finance. If all the candidates for chairman have held leadership roles in the Republican Party, either at the state or county level, okay, they've all held roles, how would you describe the financial health of your organization during the time of your leadership? Okay, how would you describe the financial health of your organization during the time of your leadership? What fundraising experience do you have, and what measures will you take, other than fundraising, to make sure the state party remains financially strong?
Well, first of all, who's successful financially as opposed to this room? During my 12 years as chairman of the Entertainment Program, our generated cost was $20 million. And how did we do that? We did that by addressing the issues of the day. We were a party that was active, that was proactive on the issues that involved this community. So what did we do? We created clubs and organizations. We created the 12 program. Introduced $12 a month every 12 months. It was our partnership program. It was very successful. We created a Republican leadership program. That was in the $50,000 for a year required. We brought in 130 folks at any time. There's a lot of party. Our radio and other special events were also successful in helping us raise the dollars that we need to be successful. My concern right now is because really our parties have an obstacle. There are a whole lot of folks out there, and I don't want to say, and say, if you talk about social issues, you won't get raising money. And so they are concerned about what the chairman who is strong on there, the chairman who is committed to life, the chairman who is supportive of the spirit. You see, so I can tolerate them if we sleep these, if we don't back down. That's what makes people want to give. They want to see a party that speaks to the entire platform, both the economic and the social issues. And I believe that we as a party need to address all the issues of the day. If those issues weren't important, then why do the delegates that create that 40-page document we call a platform have so many planks that deal with Christian values, that deal with life, that deal with marriage, the relationship between one man and one woman? We can't ignore those planks. Ted Cruz doesn't ignore those planks. Dan Patrick doesn't ignore those planks. Greg Abbott and Tim Paxton go to last time I had a whole lot of money for their campaigns and for various local parties across this state. So we need to embrace those positions. We need to be proud of those positions, and I can promise you, someone with conviction and courage who doesn't walk along those ideas will raise money for this party.
Well, I mean, like you.
One of my big concerns is that a lot of the offices that we have around the state, and a lot of the folks that we have employed around the state who are specifically involved in Hispanic engagement are actually funded by the RNC. And so, what is your plan to make sure that those jobs are still going to be employed by the party, to be engaging folks in Hispanic communities all around the state?
That's an excellent question. One of the concerns I have, and I think you have, is if the RNC funding dries up, how are we going to fund those offices? And we get a lot of money from the Republican National Committee every single year because that's realistically what the party's doing. But we can't be dependent upon the RNC. You see, we need to take the party to all parts of the state. In a state with 27 million Texans, we can't rely on people to be able to go to Austin every time they need something. If you live in South Texas, you live in East Texas, you live in West Texas, it's not convenient for you to go to Austin and get your question answered or to be a part of an event they're having. So we need to take the party to you. That means having infrastructure in these parts of the state. And if we do that, folks, we can grow our grassroots clubs. That's individuals who need $8 or $8.25 a month to the party. We have 1,700 members in that club right now. Brings about $165,000 a year. There is absolutely no reason that club shouldn't be 10 times that when you've got a state that has 27 million people in it. But we have to take the party to every part of the state, and I can promise you if we do, that club will grow exponentially.
Jared, involved on several candidate forums together. Maybe you lose track, I think this is number 5, 7 or something like that. It's my understanding that you've spoken several times about the $20 million that you raised here. But you've also mentioned in the candidate forums that the district judges in Harris County have a unique way of running as a slate. And so I understand 80 to 90% of the $20 million that your county was actually raised by the district judges. How much did you personally raise as a county judge?
That's a great point. Did I personally raise any of this money? No, we have a party raised it. I'm not going to take credit for it because, yeah, I get up with a lot of people, but it's the folks in this room that raise that money. It's the folks that donated from their pocketbooks to make a difference in the life of this party. It's that $20 million money. Let's talk about that because he makes an excellent point. In Harris County, we pioneered something called the Judicial Campaign. To my knowledge, we are the only county party that's actually employed. Let me tell you what it allows. There's only 2 ways that judicial candidates can pool their resources. Through the RPT or through a local party. What we found way back in 2002, that if candidates come together and instead of spending $50,000 or $100,000 on their own in a presidential or gubernatorial year, and then their messages essentially drown out, that if they pool those resources together and have a unified voice and a oneness of vision to make sure they're pushing the straight ticket, and they spend anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million as a body, as a group, you can actually move numbers. In our program in 2012, we actually saw fruits of that. We went record straight ticket over 4.5
Jared, the question was specifically about the financial health of the Harris County Party. I've heard a number of other people have a very different view that has financial health. In fact, Captain Nagler, who used to be the primary administrator, said that there was a time when you could even use the copier because you couldn't afford to fix it and you couldn't afford to pay the executive director. Is she wrong or are you?
She's wrong. Captain Nagler was there in 2002, 2004. And I would ask that you call the executive directors at the time. Talk to Mark Howard, talk to Jeff Gates, all individuals who work very hard for this party. The reality is, we raised a lot of money for this party. We are the largest county Republican party in the country. And I can promise you this, to keep 2 or 3 people on staff and a full-time headquarters open every single day of the year, you've got to raise a lot of money. To have a headquarters on the east side of town, you've got to raise a whole lot of money. So ultimately, at one point, have 3 to 4 headquarters across the county, you've got to raise a whole lot of money. And the reality is, this party was strong and in good financial health. When we left approximately $100,000 in the bank.
Ready? There you go. Your question is on time commitment. Chairman Ministerial stated that he puts in 60 to 80 hours per week, including travel. What amount of time each week will you be able to commit to the position of RPT State Chair, both in visits throughout the state with Republican groups, fundraising for the party, and working in the RPT headquarters in Austin, if your time is more limited, in what areas do you plan to cut back, and how do you plan to do so?
Time commitment to the party. I'll tell you, I've been asked to run for chairman multiple times in the past, and I declined, politely declined, because I did not have the time. And actually now I have a little more. My life is set in a certain way, my business is in a certain way, my practice in a certain way that I actually have a little more time to devote to it. What I've told Steve and what I've told the staff in Austin, I've met with them, is that my plan is to spend 2 days there in Austin with me. My plan is to spend, I would do the same traveling that I'm doing now, traveling and talking to the grassroots activists. It's very important that the chairman is able to communicate with the grassroots activists. Very important that the chairman is able to communicate with the grassroots activists and stay active, as I have as National Committee Man. I travel all around the nation as National Committee Man now. I'll continue to travel all around the state as National Committee Man now. I'll continue to do that as State Party Chair as well. I can tell you that I know Steve counts a lot of those hours of driving time. He drives a lot. I like to tell folks I'm able to really get around the state real easily because I have my own personal airplane with the Southwest Airlines. They tend to get me home very quickly. And so I'll probably fly a lot more than Steve, so I won't have that drive time that he counts as hours as well. I think that we really have to, it's a huge time commitment. I understand the time commitment because I've served as vice chair. I understand the time commitment because I've served as RNC committee man. I've actually developed a relationship with Steve, and I understand what he does and how he manages the party. So I actually understand that time commitment a lot better than these gentlemen over here do. I've traveled the state, I've traveled the country, I've communicated our conservative message, and I've got to try to do that now. Like I say, I've managed my time very, very wisely, and I know that now I do have the time to do it as opposed to the past.
Well, if you elaborate, I understand that you're a practicing physician, maybe tell us a little more about what you actually do for a living and the freedom that you have. If the job did take 60 or 80 hours, how would you find 60 or 80 hours at the same time you support your family through your practice?
I would say the data, one thing about our being conservative is you manage your finances very well. So we don't care if you're dead right now, so we don't have a car payment, we don't have a house payment, we own 2 homes, we rent another home out. And so if you manage your finances smoothly, then you certainly have the time to do other things like travel around the state, travel around the country, and organize that as a state party. And so my practice now, actually I'm the boss, so I make the schedule. I've got folks who work with me, we've got multiple physician assistants and nurse practitioners and physicians who work under me now. And so when you're the boss, you can actually make the schedule. So that gives me a lot more time to be able to travel the state and do the things that I do now. I mean, I'm doing that now. All I'm adding to it is taking away some time for work on that Tuesday and Thursday that I've been on being in Austin for the day. So,
Robert, I'm an attorney, and so when I'm on the road, I can draft pleadings and documents and those types of things. So I can work on the road, but in order for you to see patients, you actually have to be in the same room with the patients. How many days a week are you going to see patients? How many days a week do you prefer to see patients, and how is that going to be changed?
So what you're saying is I actually work for a living?
You have to be in a specific spot, though.
I got some lawyer jokes since I'm up here. I'll drop some lawyer jokes since I'm here. I'll tell you, someone, I actually, there's a David Tischer who was you may know David, he's actually an orthopedic surgeon in Beaumont. And he told me, he said, Rob, you're going to get hit with that question a lot. Do you have the time? Do you have the time? He says, my grandfather told me, he says, if you want someone to do a job, ask someone who's busy to do it because they'll get the job done. And I'll tell you that, look, I don't plan on shorting the party. I don't plan on giving the party less time. I plan on giving the party my all. Look, we're fighting for conservative values, social and fiscal conservative values. We're fighting for our future for our kids. I have 4 sons. I plan on giving my all to this because I care about this party. I care about where we're going as a nation. I care about where we're going as a state. So I will give the time that is necessary to grow this party. but I'm in the best position to do that.
Bob, with respect to your time on the road, you plan on spending most of it in Austin or around the state?
Probably divide it up. I mean, a lot of it will be in Austin, because I'll communicate that to the staff to be there a couple of days a week. But a lot of them will travel around the state as well. So it'll be divided up. It'll be at 2 minutes. So yes, it'll be divided up between the two. I think you've got to be, I know Steve, one pledge that he made is that he did not turn down any speaking engagement in the state that he did not have a conflict. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be able to do that. So I'm not going to put in probably the same hours that Steve did. But I can tell you, I spoke with him and I asked him some very pointed questions. I said, Steve, given how I plan to manage the party, given how I'm planning on being here, is it possible to do this? Because I wanted to make sure. I got in this race late, and I got in late because I wanted to make sure that I would have the time to commit. I wanted to make sure that I would have the time to give this very important endeavor. And talking with him, talking with the staff, I feel like I'm talking with my wife who's here right now. And I feel like I have the time to do that. So, to answer all these questions in front of my wife is pretty impressive. So thank you for that. Martha, stand up, please. So, she's been very supportive, and she's on board with this. I'll tell you, like I said before, we're fighting for our country. I believe that culturally our country is going the wrong way. I think in a lot of ways spiritually our country is going the wrong way. And I'll tell you, we're going to have a chairman who's going to be able to stand on the issues that are important to us. We've got to have a chairman who has the time to do that. I have the time to do that now. As I said before, I've been asked to run before, assess the time, now I do. So I'm very fortunate to be in that position financially. I'm very blessed to be in that position to have a wife that's very supportive, and I'm very blessed to have an airplane that I can fly on and get back home. So thank you very much.
Very good. Tom, here you go. Question on immigration. In 2010, a strong plan calling for a multi-pronged approach to ending illegal immigration was adopted into our platform. In 2012, a new plan known as the Texas Solution, which proposed a guest worker program, was approved with much controversy. Then in 2014, it was replaced by an entirely new plan, which included no program for guest workers and an emphasis on border security. Of these three versions of the immigration plan, which most aligns with your beliefs and why?
My personal beliefs with respect to immigration is first and foremost is seal the border. Absolutely seal the border. I'll tell you quickly, let me just say, anything we do with respect to illegal immigration, if we don't seal the border, I think we're fooling ourselves. All it does is increase the number of people that are coming across the border. Secondly, anybody who is here illegally should not have the right to apply for citizenship. They should have to go back to the country of origin and apply, get in line like everybody else has. So we have to seal the border, and the third thing is absolutely no amnesty. I served nearly 9 years on the Board of Criminal Justice, which is the board, the prison that's basically the prison system. I don't think it would have been absolutely not have served on the Board of Criminal Justice as the vice chairman of a $3 billion agency that incarcerated people for breaking the law if I thought it was okay to break the law. It's not okay to break the law. So the first and foremost thing is you've got to seal the border. And the second thing is, once that happens, I think there's a lot of discussion about, well, what do we do to people here already? And the question then becomes, what do you do to people here already? And, that's something that the different platforms in 2010, 2012, and 2014 attempted to address. And maybe we're getting the cart before the horse because I don't know that you can resolve that issue. 2010 had some very, very critical language of immigrants, and Hispanic community. I did not support that. 2012 talked about a guest worker program. Actually, 2014, at the very end of our platform, actually on page 39, because page 40 talks about open carry, but it does talk about a visa program that would be put in place once all those other programs are taken care of and once the border is sealed. So.
I think my mic works. So my question is, Tom? Okay. I actually support a guest worker program, but I want to see folks who are part of it. In order to be a part of it, you have to start from the country of origin. You've been criticized for supporting amnesty right there. Do you support folks going into the guest worker program who are here currently illegally?
Okay, well, I want to make sure nobody thinks that I support amnesty. I absolutely don't support amnesty. The question becomes, if there's 18 to 20 to 40 million people here illegally, what do you do with those people? They broke the law. If there was a way to say we ought to pick them all up and take them and deport them, then that would be the solution. But there's no way to do that. And in my opinion, and I think it's Congress is going to decide that, but I'm happy to share my personal opinion with you, you have to incentivize them. If we say that they broke the law, we're going to go find them, what are we going to do? We're going to incarcerate them, so we're going to double the size of our prison system. We cannot find them because we're going to have Gestapo-type police that's going to go door to door and break into people's houses. The only thing that I think may work is to say there will be a penalty. You will not get amnesty. There will be a penalty, and you will pay the penalty. And so I think that that's still something that's got to be worked out. If we don't seal the border, all it does is become a sieve that people go back and forth. And so, with respect to your question about the guest worker program,
as you know, you've been credited as being one of the fathers of the Texas solution. And that did give legal status to folks who are here illegally. In 2014, a whole group of folks who were very concerned about the way the platform committee handled immigration issues. How can we be assured that if you're the party chair, that we will get a fair hearing when it comes to issues that are very important to us?
If anybody in this room thinks that I was one of the architects of the Texas solution, I would ask you to please reconsider that thought, because it's absolutely not the case. I was the chairman of the 2012 and 24 state platform committees, and as that was, my goal was to try and help find a solution, a compromise to get the two parties together. What happened in the Permanent Platform Committee in 2014 is the Permanent Platform Committee, out of the Platform Committee, had a guest worker program. There was a minority report. I worked as to try and bring those two sides together to see if there's a way to get those two sides to come to a compromise. But I don't draft, as a Platform Committee chairman, it's not my place. It's very inappropriate. It's not my place to create any of those platform fights. I don't do that. I basically referee the process. And so I guess I answered your question. So I didn't draft any of that stuff, and I didn't draft any of the platform in 14 either. So I hope that people don't walk away thinking it's true.
So my question is now, I think that you said something about wanting to break down the doors and stuff, and that's disappointing because that's the same language that the Democrats use when they're telling us about our border security position. And so I think that's unfortunate, but do you understand why the activists were upset with you after the platform solution?
So, Robin, maybe I misunderstood what you just said. I think you're basically saying because the Democrats use that argument, you support breaking people's doors down and trying to find people and bring them out of their houses. So, anyway, some people may get upset about the process. The goal that I had as the committee chairman was to bring the two sides together and find a way to bring it, hopefully, before the floor fight, and to try and bring both sides together. It's unfortunate that the state convention, there was, I think, 200 amendments that were proposed. I believe that on the floor of the convention, maybe 3 of them were actually debated and heard and voted on. Maybe that was 4. I think there was a lot. I'm not saying that you can handle 200 amendments on the floor of the convention, but something more than 3 probably would have been much more helpful. People wouldn't have felt like they were disenfranchised. The platform committee met for an entire week. We were as much testimony as we could on Wednesday. I had the platform committee, the permanent committee start an hour earlier on Thursday so that we can increase the amount of public testimony to hear what people had to think and what their comments were and to provide their input. So all I can tell you as the platform committee chairman, I did as hard, I worked as hard as I could to be as fair as I could to every member of that platform committee, to everybody in the audience, everybody that came and testified, to ensure that they were treated fairly. And I don't think, I can just tell you, as a state chairman, I have every intention of taking the same approach, to treat people fairly and give them the right to be heard.
Wait, here you go, next question. And it has to do with expanding the voter base. While the Republican Party has grown in Texas overall, our performance in major cities, including Dallas and Harris counties, has diminished over the past decade. What have you done, and what will you continue to do to expand our voter and activist base to include more conservatives who come from low-income or minority backgrounds, especially within our major cities?
That's a great question. And in fact, Dallas County has improved. When I got elected in 2011, we had to rebuild our grassroots. We had lost 3 election cycles in a row and not won a single countywide race. When I got elected chairman, we started winning back some of these offices, state rep seats that we had lost in the last presidential election. And in 2014, I'm happy to say we elected our first Republican countywide candidate in a decade. And it's in large part because of our commitment to grassroots and our efforts to expand the party. So how do we expand the party? I think there's a couple of things you look at. Number one, I think we expand the party by getting younger folks back into the party and engaged in the party. We have here tonight a bunch of young Republicans, some from Dallas, some from Houston, who are here to support me because they know that I want to integrate them into the party. We can do that in a lot of ways. One way is social media, but frankly another way is just getting them engaged and integrating them into what we're doing. In Dallas County, we have a lot of young folks working with us at our party, at our headquarters, and as precinct chairs. The bigger issue is what do we do with minority groups? How do we engage them? Currently, the strategy at RPT is to create a bunch of different minority clubs. Okay? Let's create an African American club, an Asian club, a Hispanic club. You know, that's a fine interim step, but that is not a solution in and of itself. Our goal as a party should be to look as diverse as the Republican Party of Texas needs to be as diverse as the state of Texas. And the way to do that is to realize that these minority-focused clubs are not an end to themselves, they are a means to get more people integrated into the party. When I was appointed in Dallas County, I was the first Hispanic vice chair in our party's history. We now have our second Hispanic vice chair in party history. I want to integrate folks into the party.
Wade, I think it's great that y'all won that one countywide race, but my question to you is, there are a whole lot of benches where there's one Republican on the ballot. What can you do to make sure that counties like Dallas that we have votes on every single bench?
Yeah, success breeds success. I mean, a lot of the races for judicial races, you ask the lawyer to give up time of his practice to run for an office that he doesn't think he can get, and it's a tough step. The way you start winning back all of these seats is by winning some of the seats. When we won our district attorney's office for the first time in a decade, that's the top of the county ticket. And when that happens, next election cycle, more people want to come out and run because they see that it can be done. So how do you fill all these races across from the countywide races to our judicial races? You start by winning elections. We did that in 2014. 3 other county chairs before we tried it and weren't able to do it. The way you do it is through success, and we started that in 2014. And in 2016, it'll be even easier to recruit good candidates for those jobs.
So can you answer the question why all those countywide seats in Dallas are not being, why they didn't have
Yeah, they were judicial races. And those types of judicial races, Dallas County has the second largest ballot in the state. After 3 election cycles of not winning races under other chairs, it's hard to get lawyers to run for those jobs. The way to combat that is to start winning like we did in 2014. And next election cycle, lawyers are willing to step up and run. You see, success in winning races encourages other people to run. When I go out and talk and try to recruit lawyers for jobs to run for these spots, when I can point to them to the successes that we've had in 2014 and even in 2012 with our state reps, that encourages them. They see that there can be success, that their hard work can pay off. For the last 3 election cycles before I became county chair, when you don't win those elections, when you don't have grassroots to support your candidates, it's a tough sell. We're starting to turn the tide through our success, and we'll make it easier in 2016.
Okay, so my question goes back to the DA's race, and what I understand is that Fred Watkins, the Democrat incumbent, basically had declared war on his own people. He recruited someone to run against the Democratic chairman. He had recruited Democratic judges to run against the incumbents. And so there was already a war going on in the Democratic Party. Susan Hawk, who won the DA's race, as you know, was previously a district judge as a Democrat. And so her campaign manager was quoted as saying that they basically ran as a nonpartisan. Do you believe that the only way the Republican Party can win in Dallas County is to get Democrats to cross over to vote for our people?
Well, no, but I don't think it's a downside to get Democrats to switch to the Republican Party. If you don't want Democrats switching to the Republican Party, then why are we out there knocking on doors? I think it's first of all, Susan Hawk, Susan Hawk was first elected at age 30, the youngest female judge, and she was a Republican. In 2008, when she saw the tide turn in Dallas County, she switched to the Democratic Party. And frankly, she had no faith in the Dallas County Party. When I became chairman in 2011, people started seeing that we were doing things and we were making progress. Now look, I told Susan when she started running, I will not allow someone I think, if I really think you're a Democrat, you're not going to be on our ticket, and I'll come out against you. But she's really conservative, and she ran a good race, and she won. The DA's office race is a unique type of race because people want, that we understand they're partisan races, but people want the DA's office, the DA, the district attorney, to not rule by partisan ideology. They want people to follow the rule of law. And when it comes to the DA's race, and the sheriff's race, those types of candidates who can follow the law and who have credibility among the electorate, yes, I will make no apologies for trying to find the best candidate who can win a countywide race. And if you expect a county chair or a state chair to do any less, then I would encourage you to take a look at some of these different counties. Dallas County is unique in some ways. Every county, especially urban counties, have their own different demographics and their own sensibilities. Susan Hawk was the right candidate at the right time, with the right message, with a party, the Republican Party in Dallas County that supported her, and our grassroots folks worked hard for her, and she won because we had a party that functioned and was committed to grassroots.
Very good. Thank you for that. Let's get to our final question. Jerry. The topic is unity. We have many factions in the party. Moderates, fiscal and social conservatives, numerous Tea Party groups, true libertarians, business as usual Republicans, evangelicals, etc. One of the keys to Chairman Ministerial's success has been that he has not taken the side of any particular faction, nor tried to impose his personal views on the party, but rather he has let the grassroots tell him what the party's philosophy should be. What is your philosophy regarding party unity? And what is your plan for bringing together various factions within the party in preparation for 2016?
Well, I'll tell you what we need to do. Let's unify around our party platform. It's a common set of principles and beliefs and values that the grassroots activists have put together and adopted. That's what we should unify around. The problem that we have is that when people talk about unity, a lot of times what they're really saying is if you have strongly held convictions about life, if you believe marriage is a relationship between one man and one woman, if you believe that we should secure our border, you just need to be quiet and stop talking about this. See, I don't think there's anything wrong with having this very healthy, spirited debate in our party. That's not a weakness, that's a strength. We allow that debate to occur in our party. We don't see that same debate going on in the Democratic Party. But when that debate is over, and we've decided who our nominees are going to be going into that November election, we need to have a oneness of vision in a unity of purpose to make sure that we let the Republican take it from the top all the way down to the bottom. So I don't think we should run from the debate. I don't think we should shy from the debate. I think we need to have that spirited debate, but then come together as one Republican party. And so I think Steve has done very well in allowing that debate to occur. That's healthy, that's strong. Every faction's voice should be heard, and I think Steve has done that very, very well. But when the vote is taken, when it's done, it's over. We need to come together as a Republican family.
So what is your position on the booth at the convention? The lockout booth at the convention?
I think when a club comes in and defines itself in a way that's inconsistent with the party platform, and we vote that they should be there, they shouldn't be there. And so I don't have a problem with us taking strong principled positions consistent with our party platform.
Okay, so I'll try this mic again. Earlier today we had a candidate forum, obviously on the west side of Houston, and one of the comments you made, I would like for you to elaborate on, is you believe that the Republican Party of Texas should get involved in filing lawsuits against different municipalities that have ordinances. Tell us about your concern or lack of concern that the party would end up being responsible for attorney's fees if we lost those suits.
And the question is revolving whether or not the RPT should be involved in local issues. If you don't believe RPT should be involved in local issues, let me introduce you to Mayor East Park. This is a woman who has used the subpoena power of government to go after pastors' sermons because of the content. I mean, the sermons were her subpoenas were very clear. She wanted to know what 5 pastors who were not parties to litigation were involved in, what their sermons, what their emails, what their texts said regarding her, homosexuality, transgender issues, etc. This is a mayor who has clearly abused her power, and we have to take her to court. This is a mayor who does everything she can to try to promote religious liberties and voting rights. So I think the party needs to be involved in those fights. When a mayor or any elected official decides they're going to ignore the Texas Constitution and issue a memo, which is what it was, saying that the city of Houston needs to start paying same-sex benefits using taxpayer dollars to same-sex couples in the city of Houston in violation of Article 1, Section 32 of our Texas Constitution, the Marriage Amendment, and the Defense Marriage Act, we need to stand firm.
Gary, you talked about unifying behind the party platform. Let's say somebody doesn't agree with every single plank of the platform. Do they still have a place in this party, your chair?
Well, the question becomes, let's have the debate, Wade. I think it's healthy. It's good. But when that debate
So then why not allow lockout to come to the convention?
Because that debate has been held, and we have a platform that says...
So if they don't agree with the platform, they can't
well, let's bring forth the Democratic Republican Party, or the big tax and spend Republicans. Groups that take and define themselves on positions that are inconsistent with the platform, I think we as activists have a right to say, hey, that's not the views that we want to promote. And so the question becomes, are we going to be bold? Are we going to be strong? Are we going to be proud of our platform? And I think when you say that, when you take a contrary position, that we're destined to be a minority party, we have to be a party that stands for something. We have to be a party that stands on principle. I think that's the way we're going to be a majority party in 2014 and beyond. That's why you saw General Abbott's campaign being successful. He didn't shy away from marriage issues. He didn't shy away from the life issue. He didn't shy away from border security. He was very successful. When you look at Dan Patrick, he's someone that's never been a shrinking violet when it comes to the social issues. We need to be proud of the party platform that our activists and delegates create. Because the reality is, the party chairman is the person that is responsible for addressing and speaking to that platform. The thousands of delegates that come to that state convention every 2 years and create that document don't get the microphone stuck in their face. But instead they elect somebody who does get the microphone stuck in their face, and they expect you to speak consistent with the values and principles that they created in that 40-page document. And I can promise you, if I'm elected for state party chair, I will not waver, I will not compromise, and I will not fail when it comes to that document. In fact, I will take it proudly in the communities that have not traditionally voted Republican, Hispanic, African American, Asian communities. We need to take it, tell them what we believe in, and I can promise you we will be successful well into 2014 and beyond if we want to run from our principles, but instead embrace them.
Well, believe it or not, all 4 candidates have gone through 2 questions each with 3 Q&As from their counterparts. Excellent job, excellent speed. By the way, Cindy Martin Lawrence is out there putting it on Facebook. It's already popping up on my phone. God bless social media, right? Heidi Hansen is also here. She joins me on the radio too. It's great to see all these great conservatives out here. And I can't wait till tomorrow morning. I have my morning show on AM 1070. The Answer, we beam it out across the country. But it's great to have all these great conservatives from all over our state. And for that and for the way they handled things, it was a very fast-moving debate, part 1. Give them a big hand. Fantastic job. Thank you. So, any further questions? We're going to do lightning round questions. I'll ask in real quick form, candidate, a question, you answer it, hit it, and get it. Right, Berger? So I'll ask each one of you a question, and Berger, just want to make sure that nobody else responds. It's just a lightning round, correct? Just for you, just for you, just for specific for you. Then we have some questions that were written by audience members, and if you'd like to have your question asked, we have a couple. That table right there in the back corner, feel free to head over there, and Mr. King will wait for you and hand you a piece of paper. Here we go, lightning round question. Number 1. Let me get my light back on. Old man Stan, working it. Jared, we'll start with you, because you were last in line, you're first. Do you believe the Tea Party, do you believe the party at any level should be involved politically in local, non-partisan elections? I'll read it again. Do you believe the party at any level should be involved politically in local, non-partisan elections? If so, why and to what extent? You should get 2 minutes. 1 minute.
Absolutely. We need to be a party that is active and aggressive on issues. And that's what we did here at Mayor's Candidate. We had a mayor that did things that were contrary to law, we got involved. The reality is, as a result of the lawsuit we filed, there will be a referendum vote. And it's incumbent upon the party to engage and make sure that folks actually get out and vote. Folks, who would have ever thought we would come to the point where we would even have to debate whether or not a biological male should be able to go into a female restroom or locker room? But that's the state of affairs here in Houston, Texas right now. And we're going to be having an opportunity to vote on that next November. So I believe that the party at the state and the local level need to be engaged in these issues. And it's not confined to Houston. You see the same battle being fought in Plano. You see it going to San Marcos. It was fought in Dallas and in San Antonio. So this is a battle that we need to be engaged in, and I think the party needs to be standing tall on issues, regardless of whether it's at the state or the local level.
Very good. Thanks for sticking to the 1 minute lightning round time limit. No response. Here we go. No, Tom is the Tom, can you define what you mean by the word conservative? What do you mean by the word conservative?
It's a great question. One of the problems that we have is people have varying definitions. To me, being a conservative, first and foremost, is being pro-life. Believing that the life of the innocent unborn and the elderly should be protected. Secondly, I'm a staunch believer in traditional marriage. Marriage should be between one natural woman and one natural man. We didn't used to have to say it that way. We could just say between one man and one woman, but unfortunately things have changed. Third, I actually have my concealed carry license. I believe very strongly in the Second Amendment. And fourth, I'll tell you this, and I'll say it as clearly as I can. I think political correctness is just another way to silence conservatives. We need to stand up and push back and say we have as much right to our First Amendment right to free speech as anybody, and if the liberals don't like it, I'm sorry, sit down and shut up, because we're going to have our speech, and then they can turn around and have their chance. So that's what it means to me.
We're going to stay out of order. Rob, here's your question. You have 1 minute to respond. Have you ever been sued personally or through your business? And if so, what is the current status of the lawsuit and the fulfillment of any judgments against you? Have you ever been sued?
Yes, I have been sued one time a few years ago, and it was a medical issue. It was mostly, and that was actually settled out. No financial issues, no tax liens, no other issues like that at all. So, I believe that, I thank God for tort reform. I mean, that's something that I work very hard on as a physician. I think it's very important that we limit lawsuits as much as possible. I think that we're in such a litigious society now. It's just kind of a shame how it's really affected our tax system. It's affected every aspect of our lives. It's made everything everything more expensive. So I think it's time that we have more tort reform and we continue to push that. I mean, I've been sued one time, it's been a long time ago, it's a medical issue that resolved.
Wait a minute. Here we go. Before Chair Ministry, party auxiliaries felt as they were treated like stepchildren. Auxiliaries felt they were treated like stepchildren. How would you build on those relationships and encourage auxiliaries to work together?
My microphone works. Auxiliaries, I think, are incredibly important for the party. In fact, I'm the vice chair of one of them, the Texas Republican County Chairs Association. The TRCCA, TFRW, many of our other auxiliaries do incredible work. Steve has done a great job working with the auxiliaries. I want to find ways that we can plug them in to the activities of the party. For example, TRCCA does training of new county chairs. We have 8 county chairs. The TRCCA can partner with the RPT and train our new county chairs on how to run elections. There are a lot of opportunities that we as a party can use to integrate auxiliaries. In Dallas County, we work very closely with all of our clubs. It's not antagonistic. In fact, many of our clubs work hand in hand with us when we do grassroots and knock on doors and make phone calls. Auxiliaries are the lifeblood of the party because in a lot of ways our volunteers plug themselves in through auxiliaries. I think it's incredibly important, and I'll continue what Steve has done.
Excellent job on the lightning round. Next segment, as you can see this campaign, these are questions from y'all out there. Wade, we'll start with you. No, I don't. Real quick. Okay.
How many quick times have you
You're going to have about 10.
Okay.
We have 30 minutes to potentially couple questions, but I will leave some time for each of the candidates to give a final speech. So we'll give the last 8 minutes for that.
The speech that you guys are doing such a great job of moving quickly. It's fantastic. Wade, here you go. What has been your experience in leading the party against a deeply entrenched and highly organized Democratic opposition? What has been your experience leading the party against a deeply entrenched and highly organized Democrat opposition?
Dallas County is ground zero for Battleground, Texas. They operate in our backyard for the last 3 years. In Dallas County, we combat that by being organized, by being well funded through fundraising, by committing ourselves to grassroots, by focusing on messages that unite, and by uniting the different groups within Dallas County. In a lot of ways, Dallas County is a microcosm of the state of Texas. Whether it's Tea Party Republicans, Liberty Republicans, Reagan conservatives, whatever labels people put on themselves, my philosophy is very simple. If you want to help elect our general election ballot, then we will work with you to elect Republicans. My job as county chairman is to unify the party so that we can get volunteers and remain focused and elect Republicans. That has not always been the case in Dallas County. Frankly, that has not always been the case at the Republican Party in Texas. I've had to rebuild the party from the ground up to make sure that happens, and as state chairman, I'll do the same thing. I couldn't see your clock, so I'm not sure how much time. I've said what I need to say.
Very good. Brevity, minute 30, you can see the clock. Robin, Here you go. There are several counties, Brooks County, for instance, that do not hold Republican primaries. What would you do to have a Republican primary in every county? Why do you think this is important or not important?
I think it's extremely important to have a Republican primary in every county because that's how you reach your advocates, that's how you deal with the party on the ground floor. But I'll do as state chairman, exactly what I've done as national committee, exactly what I did as vice chairman, is travel to these counties. You know, I traveled out to Lytle County, and I know where Lytle County is. It's a real small county. They told me that, you know, Robin, no one's ever been out here before. A lot of it is showing up and supporting those advocates, supporting their fundraising, y'all hear me? Yeah. Supporting their fundraising activities, and just being there. You know, I'll tell you, there's a lot of counties that I've traveled to in this state, a lot of folks who know me, I've been there and supported them in the past. I'll continue to do that as your state party chairman. I think it's essential that we have Cassie Daniels, who's also our organizational director, who actually goes out and recruits county chairmen to fill those positions. You know, these positions aren't always easy to fill. There are some counties that have never had Republican primaries before. But it is vital that we have it because that's our farm team. That's our farm team for the county. That's our farm team for future state reps. That's our farm team also for future state senators and potentially the governor. We've got the governor from Paint Creek, Texas. And so it's important that we have county primaries and have people involved and engaged at that level and at every level. We also need to have precinct chairmen as well. Precinct chairman involved at the county level.
Tom, here you go. Here's your question. Since the evangelical Christian base is one of the largest bloc voting groups, what are you going to do to motivate them to work in the party activities and vote straight ticket and turn out in record numbers for 2016? Evangelical Christian base, what are you going to do to motivate them to work in the party activities and vote straight ticket and turn out record numbers for 2016?
I think that's a great question. Being an evangelical myself, I got involved back with Pat Robinson. And you all remember back how long ago that was when the Christian Coalition was involved with Pat Robinson when we first started. Let me just take a quick statement to tell you that the evangelical vote is obviously the very base of our party. But one of the things that's happened over the course of time sometimes is that some of the candidates some of the candidates are not as conservative as we would like them to be. The problem is that people stay home. And I know that one of the issues that happened several years ago when we had whenever John McCain went, as an example, one of the attitudes that was going on there was that the evangelicals were frustrated and they were basically being ignored, and the response back from that campaign was, what are they going to do, vote for Obama? Well, no, what they do is they stay home. They don't vote. We have got to get them motivated. One of the ways we do that is we work closely with pastors. I realize that there's a sensitivity for pastors to talk about speaking from the pulpit, but they can't talk about getting involved and being active. That's the vote that's going to carry us through this thing in 2016. And one of the things the RPT will do is, if I'm the state chairman, is we will organize training sessions. We will begin to reach out to conservatives. We will make contact with them, and not just say show up and vote, but help them become more politically involved and active in the process and in this party.
And Jared, for you, what do you believe are the top 3 issues with voters? What do you believe are the top 3 issues with voters?
Well, I think border security is extremely, extremely important for voters right now. I think when you look at all the national security threats that we face, and you look at a whole group of folks who believe that we should essentially open our borders, that they should make folks who are here illegally legal, and that is a huge issue. I think life is a huge issue for many, many of our voters, and it should be. If we can't stand up for the most innocent defense of those unborn children in the room, my question is, what can we stand up for? I think marriage is a huge issue right now. When we see marriage being attacked by judicial activists, judges who are acting as legislators from the bench, overturning marriage amendments all across this country, I think people understand that we are in a cultural war, that we are in a battle right now. I think taxes and choice are big issues that are in this legislative session. We've got a proposal right now coming in the Senate, $4.6 billion for tax relief. That needs to get to the House. That needs to get done. We're taxed way too much, even here in Texas, and finally school choice. why they're silent about any of those things.
And now we get to your final thoughts and your thank yous. We're going to get to each candidate, and they're going to provide their closing remarks. And while they provide their closing remarks, and they've all done a phenomenal job, we ask you to provide an answer to the following questions. You'll have your closing remarks. Go ahead, have time. About 3 minutes, or until Bonnie falls asleep on the front row. That's how you know. You got 3 minutes until. But please try to answer the question in there. What would you do differently from our outgoing chairman? What would you do differently from our outgoing chairman? Robert, we start with you. We'll wrap it up with you.
All right, thank you all very much for coming out this evening. I would say that it's been an honor to really serve you as your national committee man, and I look forward to serving you as your state party chairman. I would say one thing, and I'll handle this first, one thing I would do differently than our current chairman is I probably will be more involved in those local issues, like Jerry talks about. And also, I think that it's important that we wean ourselves off of the money that's coming from the REC now. This is something that really concerns me a lot. A lot of our engagement and outreach that is taking place right now amongst Hispanic communities, a lot of our offices that are open around the state are funded by the REC right now, to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And so I believe that in 2016, that money is probably going to go away. It's going to be essential that we have a chairman who has national relationships, that has statewide relationships, who is able to raise that money to make up that difference so that we don't have to close those offices and end that engagement. I think those are two important things I think I will be doing from chairman of the steering. I also have to say that I believe that I got involved with the party mostly because of social issues and those cultural issues, because those were important to me. When I gave my heart to the Lord, those were the most important issues that became very front and center for me. I really haven't had an opportunity to talk about that a lot tonight here with the questions, but I'll tell you, it's been a fight. I really have been very moved by our delegates and your beliefs on social and conservative issues, and I plan on fighting for those issues, fighting for social issues, fighting for conservative issues, socially and fiscally. I think it's important that we do that we continue to do that. I've done that as your national committee man, and I'll do that as your state party chairman as well. I think equally important, we have to engage others as well. Listen, we have to be able to engage people in such a way that they respond to what we're saying. I can take our values to the NAACP convention and give a defense of why conservatism is going to strengthen that community. I can go to a little at convention and give a strong defense on why conservatism is the best thing to expand that community and grow that community economically. I can go to a lot of different places because I have experience in doing it and I've done it in the past. One thing we have to do is we have to show up. We have to show up in those communities. I think that's a huge part of engagement. We have to engage our faith folks as well. A lot of our people who are faithful, we have 3 million people stay home nationally, and that's why Romney lost the election. We have to engage those people as well, get them involved. I believe also that I have been elected by the convention twice. I was voted out of Tarrant County by a 2-to-1 margin over the second place finisher. I believe that I am the choice of the grassroots activists of the state, and I look forward to having your support. I will tell you, it's been a neat time in the state, and being able to reintroduce myself to you all as a candidate for state party chairman. I look forward to serving you in that position. Thank you.
Steve Monastery has been an exceptional chairman, and it's been my great honor to be a trainer under his leadership. But let me just mention to you that, and I think you would agree, it wasn't just Steve that brought about these positive changes that we've seen in this party. It's about a team of people that have been assembled by him, and as the only individual on the stage that's a part of that team, the best way to ensure that we continue to progress is basically is to keep that team in place. I've talked to all the party officers, and every one of us agreed to continue in their current position. Now, I understand the finance chairman would be a transitional position. But why is that so important? Because as the time has progressed, and we had a place before Steve was our chairman, where the party was basically in debt up to $850,000. The question becomes, do we go back to where we were, or do we continue to make progress and continue to move forward? I tell you that the best opportunity for us as a party is to maintain not just where we are, but to take it to the next level. To answer the question, what will I do differently? Many of you have seen these push cards. They basically began because of the 2010 campaign as a candidate. I talked about what we had done in some of the small counties to do platform comparisons. And Frank Steve, of course, again today, we're going to do push cards. The party will do this as a major initiative to help conservative, non-traditional non-traditional voters to realize that they really are Republicans. That's one area that we're going to work on. We're going to double our efforts to train up the next generation. I think there's a lot of ground we can make with that. The grassroots club will continue to be a big priority. There's some functional problems that we're having right now with respect to credit card expirations. We're going to revamp that and take that on a bigger scale with respect to the online forgiving. But the most important thing, and I'm going to say we're not doing that today, but we will continue to take the fight to the Democrats. We will fight for every inch of ground in the state of Texas. Every Democrat will have a target on their back. Now, in some cases, what we'll have to do is build a stronger party organization in those counties, in those precincts, in those districts. But we will come after every Democrat and basically become a party much more on the offensive. And granted, the Battleground Texas said we're going to come against you. They brought $40 million. They hit that blade. They're coming back. It's our turn to turn that around and go after them. And the only way we do it, the RPT, is to make a commitment to say, look, we are moving forward and we are going to go take that ground that we don't have already. Thank you. Thank you all for being here today. I appreciate you all very much.
This debate format is interesting. We were asked questions about ballot integrity. I've got some experience in ballot integrity in Dallas County on the front lines. The question was asked about campaigns. Got a lot of experience with campaigns. I've been a candidate myself. I've run some of the biggest campaigns in one of the biggest counties in Texas. But I didn't get a chance to answer those types of questions. So many of y'all are looking at me, not really knowing what my philosophy is. Let me tell you what my philosophy is. If you want a state chairman that's going to picket City Hall, I'm not your guy. If you want a state party, though, that will work, that will raise money, and focus on electing Republicans around the state, I am your guy. Stephen Ascari has done an incredible job. When he stepped down, he gave a list of items that he thought people should look to when choosing the next state chairman. One of those items was fundraising. In Dallas County, I've had to raise the big dollars. Dallas County is a big place. I've raised money at that level. Some of these other candidates up here have not had to do that. Another item is being a spokesperson for the party, advocating for conservative principles. I've had to do that in Dallas County. Dallas County is one of the top 5 media markets in the nation. I've lived in the fishbowl of a big media market. I don't have to learn on the job when it comes to speaking and advocating for conservative principles. Maybe another thing Steve said that was perhaps even the most important thing is building coalitions, allowing people to feel like they have a seat at the table and an opportunity to be heard, whether they're Tea Party Republicans, Liberal Republicans, Reagan Republicans, wherever they are on the political spectrum, they have a seat at the table. I've had to do that in Dallas County. Some of the others up here haven't done that. And frankly, RPT in its past has not done that well. I've had to do that in Dallas County. But perhaps one of the most important philosophies you need to know about me is my philosophy about running the party. I believe I'm a strong social conservative, but I believe that the party can be about that, but also other things. I think there's a place in the party for somebody who wants to focus on economic issues. If you think Washington spends too much and has too much debt, you've got a place in this party. If you believe that the government overreaches, if you're a limited government Republican, if you're a liberty Republican, you have a place in this party. In Dallas County, we've had to work with folks across the board. As state chairman, I'll do the same. If you want a state party that works, you can look to Dallas County because we've been working in a difficult setting for the past 3.5 years. I'll bring that experience to the
participate parties. Well, I want to begin by thanking so many folks in this room who are dear friends to me during my 12 years as party chair. And I'm proud of our record of accomplishments working together. 272 wins and 42 losses during those 12 years, and you're to be commended for that. That's your record. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my dad, who is here tonight. I want to recognize him, my best friend, my mentor, my love parent. Dad, thank you for being here. And the first part of your question, what would be different that I would do differently than Steve? Steve has done a wonderful job in so many areas. But I think one of the areas that I would probably emphasize a little more is engaging the evangelical church. Folks, with about 80 million evangelical Christians out there, only 40 million of those folks are registered, only 20 million of those folks vote for presidential year, only 10 million of those folks actually vote for the gubernatorial election. If we can get patriot pastors involved, pastors who will speak to the issues, it will go from the pulpit to the pews and to the polls, and we will change the way this nation looks right now. And so I like the story of John Peter Mecklenburg. Some of you may remember him. He won with General George Washington. He was what I call a patriot pastor. This is an individual who was preaching a sermon one day from Ecclesiastes saying that there is a time and a season for everything. There is a time for peace and there is a time for fight. He then took off his robes underneath, and he had the uniform of a continental soldier. He stormed out of that church with his whole congregation and joined George Washington. They won that revolution, and today we are enjoying the liberties that they made their lives for. Right. And the reason I tell you that is because we need to have the same type of revolution today. We need more John Peter Mecklenburg. What I love about his life is this. One, his faith was an active faith. It motivated him to do something bigger than himself. Secondly, he put it all on the line. He put his very life on the line, and that shows courage. And third, finally, he later served in life as an elected official. And if we can do those same three things, we can change this country. If we will have an active faith that we just don't keep in the pews, but instead take to the polling location and share with our friends and our neighbors based on issues, we will change this country. If we have the courage to go out and fight for those principles and values that we believe in, and in his case, be willing to give our very lives, we will change this country. And if we will take those same principles and beliefs and actually apply them through our service, whether it be an elected office or whether it be helping someone elected office or speaking to the issue today, we will change this country. Because, folks, we are in a fight. When you go to the left, folks, you see them trying to remove under God from the pledge, you know you're in a fight. When you go all around this country and you see judges redefining marriage, you know we're in a fight. When our veterans get worse health care than illegal aliens, folks, we are in a fight. Amen. When our kids have to go through veteran centers to get into the schools to not allow them praying, we're in a fight. We need a party chair who's going to stand on the front lines and be willing to engage in that fight. I think I've proven to you time and time again, I will not back down, I will not bend, and I will not bow, but I will boldly stand for the Republican Party principles that you like me to stand for. I appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
Before we go, everyone look at his team for a great picture. I'll take a second. Okay, these all the pictures on Facebook, we're like on the surface of the moon. Miss Elizabeth. Got it? Good, there we go. On behalf of that, I've hosted a lot of debates. You've seen me around town doing a lot of things for Republican causes. This was the most fast-paced, well-behaved, most flattering debate I've ever stood for and enjoyed being with. So give our thanks a big hand. My name is Sam Malone. I'll see you tomorrow morning on the radio at 7 a.m. and at 11 hours from 8 to 7.
We give them a great hand. What an amazing honor.
All right, everybody, it's time to vote. Hopefully, you've heard from all the candidates now. Hopefully, you've made up your mind. Back there is a Home Depot bucket that they're holding up. If you guys can put your ballots in there, we're going to count them and give you the results soon. And again, thank you guys for coming, and it was wonderful. Thank you.